So, hello everyone. Thanks for hanging out on this Discord meetup, number 8000. Just wanted to do a quick update on people who are waiting for September pre-orders that they placed. I started shipping about a week and a half ago, and it'll take probably until September to finish shipping all the units. Basically, I got everything early, and I've been doing the final assembly and boxing and shipping them in small batches. So they've been shipping in the order that the orders were placed. So yeah. And what else we got here? There have been a flood of new versions of M8. We're now on 2.7.6 as of a couple hours ago. I've been essentially just trying to conquer any bugs that come up that people mention on the Discord server, as well as things that I find. My goal was just to get the 2.7 or 2.x branch kind of stable and, working as expected before really diving into anything I want to do for version 3. So that's why I've been kind of pushing out updates as quickly as possible. It's also nice to have those fixes already on the firmware that's shipping with units I'm currently shipping out. So today's biggest improvement as far as the firmware versions is I improved basically fast instrument switching on the same track. So if you have a track that has multiple instruments, when it flips between them, it should sound a lot nicer than it used to, depending on how you're using the instrument. And a lot of it has to do with because each instrument can have different reverb, delay, and chorus and dry amounts, and all that stuff needs to interpolate between instruments as quickly as possible when you're flipping between them in a phrase. So the new way it handles it should be much better. Bunch of other unimportant really fixes. The one thing that I really like that I did was if you go to the file browser screen and you have a bunch of chaotic mess because it's not sorted alphabetically, is you use the shift option to sort it. That's always been there, but what is new is if you leave the screen and come back in, it's still sorted. It doesn't refresh the directory. However, if you remove the SD card while the unit's on in that directory and put a file on it and put it back in, it'll refresh the directory in the natural order that it is on the card, and then you have to resort it. So it only sticks for the current directory. If you change directories, of course, and go back in, it'll be unsorted again. So it's super great if you have a bunch of files in the same directory and you want to go through them. Keeping that directory sorted is actually a pretty good thing. What else that's new? That's pretty much it on the last versions of 2.7, I think. Since the last meetup, anyway. So yeah, I've been working on a drum synth library for M8 where I basically make a bunch of different drum sounds using the FM-synth normally. And I've been thinking about putting it on the website as a paid for bundle of instruments. And in part, the reason why I want to do it as a paid thing is it's good to have extra things that people can purchase on the website, especially when I don't have new products to sell. The other thing is it's kind of an experiment to see if it's something I want to do as far as doing better curated, content packs. I think it's pretty similar to, a lot of other company products that we use. Might not be a bad thing to try out. But I was thinking about pricing it about $10. So not a hard ask. I could show you some of those here. This is it's just a bunch of basically analog sounding instruments. So there are none of them are using samples. It's all just FM synthesis. If I load that one up, you can see here. I think for the large majority of the kicks, for instance, I'll use this new OS shape called click just to add an initial transient and to disable volume ramping, so you get a sharp attack on the kick, and then a bunch of sine waves that get morphed. And then sometimes I'll throw in a noise shape just to give it some character. So I can play this little demo song that I've been working on for it. That's it. But you can see, for the most part, all of the notes, all the instruments are designed so that C4 is the normal pitch. But of course, it can be, pitched up or pitched down. But I thought to normalize everything in terms of velocity and their pitches, so it doesn't really take much to get it going. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. So it's almost all these are all FM-synth sounds. And most of them don't use a table. Sometimes I'll use a table, like this kick does kind of pitch bend down a little bit toward the meat of the kick to give it some character. And I ended up using a table for that. This rep is kind of used to hold its position. And then right here, it does a pitch bend down a little over an octave or so, and with a pitch slide command. So it just kind of, at the end of the sound, it pitch bends down a little bit. Kick 6 nose 6. What's really cool with the FM-synth, I think, is those new noise filtered shapes really help add a little bit of character to a lot of the sounds. So they sound a little bit dirtier than just a sine wave. I don't know if you could hear that through the stream or not. Let's see. Where's like the perfect ones are like the Tom 606 low and high toms. They both have this noise low pass filter on them. You can hear that little sizzle at the end. But yeah. Anyway. Did the claps use tables? Yeah. Let me just go to new so I'm not bothered by big old mess here. Load an instrument, sort the directory. Oh no, how about... So clap to me is one of the weaker instruments to try to do in the FM-synth. But you can see it here, there's a bunch going on the table. I think it's because I wanted 3 initial clicks, because that's the clap is basically a noise generator with kind of like 3 envelope triggers. And that's basically what... I bet if I slow this down, yeah, you can hear it when I slow down the table. And then it's all about throwing in bandpass filters. I think the clap is kind of weak on M8 in terms of you trying to do it with the FM-synth, just because I would like to probably have another bandpass filter to be able to do it right. But yeah, there we go. I don't know if anybody wants me to show off anything, or if we want to just go straight into playing back people's bundles. I guess I can make a kick from scratch if y'all are interested in something like that. Another bandpass filter would just give me more ways of shaping it a little bit better. Scratch. Okay. This is going to be a nightmare, but we'll try it. I've said this in the past, but it's normally pretty hard to do, to give a... I don't know how... I know I have friends that are good at doing this, like live presentation type of situation, but I'm terrible at it, and it makes me a little nervous, so I end up sucking at showing how to do something. So I created a new FM synth instrument. This is bog standard FM. The first thing I'm going to do, normally in my head, I think of the sound that I want, what I'm trying to achieve. Like, for instance, if it's a hi-hat, then I know I'm going to need a lot of noise. If it's a tom or snare or kick, like, I know I'm going to need some sine waves. And in my head, I kind of figure out, like, well, do I just have one fundamental frequency for the drum, or do I have multiple? And then from that allows me to select which algorithm I want. So if all I want is one sine wave, then I'll probably leave it on something like one of these guys, because it gives me more modulation options to add weird characteristics later on. But if I know I need at least 3 different sounds, like if I need noise and a bass sine wave and a click, then I'm going to need to use, the additive one where all 4 sounds are added together, or maybe one of the ones that like this, where it's basically I have 3 oscillators with the A operator being a modulator for them. So if I'm going to do a kick, I want to do a kick that has basically 2 sine waves in it that are slightly detuned. At least that's what's in my head right now. So I chose, but I also want noise. Maybe I'll just leave this in the last algorithm, the additive mode, just to not deal with it. I'm going to turn down the other operators just so I only have 1 sine wave going, and it simplifies the process of designing. Normally, I kind of use the levels here as a way to just isolate and, to basically mute everything else so I can work on the one thing I'm currently working on. There, done. It's a beautiful sine wave volume ramp kick. I'm kidding. So let's do pitch. Something small and fast. Right? So all you're hearing right now is just this sine wave. Let's see. Maybe I want to saturate it, but I want to saturate it using the analog post-AD thing a little bit. I'll leave the note C4 here, even if I want the pitch to end up being lower. I'll end up doing it here in the table, just so I really like drums to always kind of have the same expected note and not tweak it in the phrase itself. So. The same thing here, I'll turn off transpose, just so that way the transpose in the chain screen doesn't affect it. Let's bring in a second sine wave. And then so I realize since I want to do a kick, and there's this new feature, or newer in 2.6, I think, the click operator. I know that I want that click to be there, to have that sharp transient at the beginning of the sound. I'm going to have to sacrifice one of these operators to do that. So I'm going to switch the algorithm to A into B, A into C, and A into D. And that A is going to be our click. Let me mute this other sine wave so we could kind of hear what it's going to do. You can hear that little click sharp. And the feedback of the click isn't actually feedback. What it does is control the phase offset of the sine wave. When the instrument gets triggered, you could basically set where in the sine wave the sound will start. And by using this value, it allows you to adjust that. So let's see. So 80 would be, since it's a sine wave, it wraps around the shape. So you basically have, if you want to hear differences, it's generally in between the range of 0, 0 to 80. 80 is the halfway point. So I think this is around 20% offset. It's generally a decent number to start off. I'm going to mix in this other one again. Tune this. Let's say I wanted to do like a square wave that basically turns into a sine over time. I'm going to set this second operator into a square wave, and I'm going to map level to it. And then I'm going to assign one of these LFOs to that mod 1 right here. So it's basically this controls the volume currently of that second operator. And now I'm assigning an LFO to this one. And I'm going to turn this LFO into an envelope by setting it to exponentially down with a retrigger, or actually a hold envelope. So now it's basically like an exponential envelope, just a really simple envelope. Set the frequency. God, it sounds terrible. Give me a minute. So now I could hear it kind of, yeah, getting out of there, but that's... I want this faster, so I'm going to change it to exponential down tick based, so it's a lot faster than the other LFO shape. That's kind of how I design these things. And then like, oh, I want some noise in here to give it some characteristic. So I just broke everything. Why did that? Hold on. That's funny. How did I break everything? See, A into D. Oh, D is our main, right? So I should do C as the... Turn that guy down. Hold on, I broke everything. This should be louder. Yeah, let's call that. All right, so if I wanted to add noise, what I did is I ended up adjusting the main sine wave instead of just adding noise to the whole thing. Well, you get the idea. Yeah, so that's basically how I go about designing drums. Some of the ones that I did for the library I'm working on, I wanted some 606 drums. So what I would do is I would create a new instrument, load in a 606 sample, and just play back those two instruments one after another in a phrase while tweaking the one I'm designing at the time. What does post AD do? Yeah, so the amp number here can affect different limiter types. One is clip, where it just clips the edges as the amplification increases. One of us is more of a sinusoidal. Then there's a folding one, which when it hits the peaks, it folds back in on itself. Then there's a wrap, where it just sounds very nasty, but it makes some pretty shapes in the screen. And then there's post, which means post filter. So if I turned on the filter here, turned it down, then that means the filter is also being clipped. Post AD is like post, except for instead of it being a hard clip, it's more of a softer, more natural clipping. Yeah, it just has a certain sound to it. Yeah. So if there's any more questions or anything, feel free to ask. Oh, another update I forgot to mention is the future M8 batches. On the site, I have it specified as November. We're currently still on track for around November. I'm not planning on opening a pre-order for them, and they should be available on the site for a couple months, I imagine. They're not going to sell out quickly, I don't think. So I have the chips that I needed, but I have to go through some design changes on those units. So I'm currently working on that. But yeah, production's basically started on those for the November units. And those will be just directly orderable. For me, FM-synth is super powerful because I look at it like 4 oscillators that can basically connect to each other if I want them to, or they could live completely independently. So I think a lot of us feel that the FM-synth is kind of the most powerful thing in M8 as far as it could do chords, it could do drums, it could, it fills in a lot of gaps. So yeah, my macro synth is also really great. But FM-synth is kind of, to me, it fills any of the missing pieces that one might have. Because, for instance, macro synth has an FM mode in it, but it's only a 2-operator FM mode, and it's very primitive. Whereas the FM synth can really let you dive in and design things. They're both great for different use cases, obviously. So unless anybody has any questions, we can start playing some bundles. It's bundle time. Let's do it. First track is Azure Sky with 22G30 Nicotine-Gax. Maybe that's it. Lovely. That again was Azure Sky with Nicotine. This next one is Kuber with Fifth, I think. Yeah. Thanks so much for submitting your track. It's interesting. Love the textures. That one. So this song is Ineffable Twaddle with GrooveX. It looks like there are 4 little song ideas, I think, or songs. Let's listen. great. I forgot that those highlighted bookmarks would be song hops. So I assume on these it's a command to hop it to this next region. It's a cool idea for separating kind of the structure of a song, I guess. It sounded great. This is Coops with Just the Way.
Well, I guess that's just the way it goes. Fall in love, the feeling grows. Will it last? No one knows. Feel the highs, the crushing lows. Well, I guess that's just the way it goes. Well, I guess that's just the way it goes. Well, I guess that's just the way it goes. Time flies by and never slows. The meaning of life, no one knows. A child is born and then it grows. And time flies by, it never slows. Well, I guess that's just the way it goes. Well, I guess that's just the way it goes. Time flies by, it never slows. Well, I guess that's just the way it goes.
Awesome. That was Just the Way with Coops. This next one's Helen Butterflies with 6. Awesome. Thanks so much for submitting your tracks, everyone. Really appreciate it. This next one's Jim Mack with Desync. Nice. That again was Jim Mack with Desync. This next one.
This one has special instructions.
Who's that? What?
This is Wangus.
Oh yes, I get it. I know what to do with this one. This one's going to destroy my theme, I believe. And I guess what you did here was, this is super cool. So you're using the internal MIDI out type instrument, which sends MIDI back through the M8, essentially. But you set up presets here for like tap, double tap, cut, random right, random up, spam. So all of these, I assume, have different table commands going on for MIDI notes to control the cursor. So as for example, if I start playing it here.
You might not want to play here.
Yeah, I know. It'll just start inserting random song rows. But if I play it here, it'll destroy my theme. Much appreciated. is incredible, and I played with caution and I saved my theme just to make sure that it wouldn't. Yeah, that's amazing. I would consider that abuse of the internal MIDI mode. So thanks so much for submitting. I also like the little melody you put in there. Maybe I should try another one. Oh no. That's awesome. I believe you shared that on the Discord, yeah?
Yeah, it's in resources.
Yeah. Thanks so much. It's hilarious. I can't imagine how long that took to do.
That was Rev 2. It's like 50% faster than the first one that I made.
This next song is by Connection Shifted. The song is 63481.
Follow 11, this is Houston, evasive maneuver, SPS GNN, 63481. Distance from Earth best configuration. We have been doing it off the ground here. 11, we'll just keep it as it is, over.
Thank you so much. Love the NASA samples in there. It's pretty awesome. This next one is by That Ranjit with First Try. That was great. They mentioned that this is a work in progress, but I think the progress is great. This next song is by Tahoe with DnD Moods 1. I think this is a collection, or should I start here? Let me see what they said. I'll hit play though. Super rad. I assume that's somewhat generative in nature with chances and all that. That first row, I guess, was called Underdark Ambient. Sorry for the abrupt transition. These are super great. Super great. So Tahoe said that they'll post a bundle, I assume, on the Discord somewhere. Thanks so much for sharing it with us. All right, this next one's Mikey 303 featuring Floor Baba with Melt. Wow. That time signature, though, sounds excellent. This next submission is by Crane Bay with Rail Shuffle. Wow. It was chaotic in a lovely way. So that's it for bundles, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again this week. We should do another meetup soon enough. Maybe we should get some tutorial ideas going or walkthroughs. If anybody has any ideas, feel free to reach out to me and I'll put them on a list. Yeah, so I guess that's it. Thank you. See you later, everyone. And also thanks again for submitting the songs and sharing with everybody. It's really interesting just to see how people use M8. So have a good one, everyone.